Hello and welcome to Cinema-Reelness, Side Escape's movie-themed show. My name is Maddie Atlee, and each week on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube, me and a friend will discuss a random movie topic. This week, I'm joined by my guest, Jake Burke.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm very
And the
excited.
topic, I'm glad. The topic this week is we are reviewing the Birds of Prey movie.
And the fantabulous emancipation of the one Harley Quinn. Please, Maddie, get the full title right. It's
Yes,
not
I'm
that hard to
sorry.
say.
It's a bit long. I
It's not
don't
that
know why I
long.
made it so long.
It's a
And
bizarre title.
it's a weird title.
This movie should have been called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
That's what it should have been. I actually after watching the movie, I do get why it's named what it is because it fits the very Harley Quinn persona. I just
Yeah.
don't think it's good from a marketing standpoint.
No, it's terrible.
It's terrible from a marketing standpoint. And they ended up changing it. Remember hearing about that?
Yeah. Well, it'd be like calling Deadpool like X-Force and the epic journey of Deadpool's one cool
Right.
man. And it's like,
Yeah.
just call it what it is. All
It's
right.
Deadpool too.
Yeah, the title's really bad.
Right.
That's
So
that's the
we're review
first part of the review.
That's the first part of the review. Um, so we're reviewing this movie because if you guys don't know, there's a virus going around, COVID-19.
Oh,
What?
wow. First time
What?
hearing of it.
What? And so this is one of the first movies to come out that was in theaters that they released digitally, and we decided it'd be kind of fun to review it
Yeah, it's a
because,
fun. You can buy it right now on
yeah,
Amazon.
exactly. It is that first kind of experiment, which me and you have talked about a lot. We have been always waiting for that day for it to happen, for movies just to be skip the theaters and be released online to streaming
Yeah.
platforms. And because of the virus, that looks like that step is already taking place, basically.
Yeah, and there's some movies right now too that are coming out, like The Invisible Man, which was a horror movie that came out like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Mhm.
That's coming to like Amazon and HBO, or not HBO, but Amazon and a few other places you can rent movies, but you have to rent it, and it's like a $20 rental.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what this was too, wasn't
This
it?
was a no, we bought this. So
Oh,
this
you
was a
bought this one.
yeah,
Okay, it's $20 to buy.
yeah, because it was already in theaters for like 2 months.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
so
Yeah.
but we're reviewing it now.
Yeah, and we're both really big comic book people. Well, you're more of a comic book person. I'm more of comic movies. He's
Yeah,
you've been getting me into comic books,
yeah.
but you know far more about that than I do.
Right.
but,
And
but
especially
it's,
when it comes to DC, I know DC's
yes,
my shit. Like
yeah,
I didn't like Marvel till the movies really came out, where like
yeah. Then they
DC
rushed it.
and they crushed it. And DC
Yeah,
obviously has done equally as good. I mean, we Justice League, we
right.
loved it. It was
Yeah,
crazy. No, they've stumbled a lot. So this is kind of an interesting
it's
movie
been
to
bad.
review.
It's been
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I think Birds of Prey is an interesting kind of experiment for what DC's been doing, because it
Mhm.
takes Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad, Margot Robbie, and then makes her like have her own story. And who knows about the timeline of these movies, because it's not like
Yeah,
Marvel. It's
exactly.
distinct.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that being said, I think it's a cool movie. So let's start with our initial thoughts, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it way more than I was expecting
Mhm.
because I feel like when I go into DC movies in general, because like you said, they tend to not be very good, I
Yeah.
have very, very low expectations. And I had even lower expectations, I would say, because I'm not a huge Harley Quinn fan. So it's not that I doubted Margot Robbie because she's amazing and she is amazing in this movie. It's more of just that, the character doesn't really do that much for me.
Right.
But I was really surprised. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I don't think I liked it as much as other people do because once again, I'm not a big Harley Quinn fan, but I had a lot of fun with it and it was really cool and it didn't feel forced at all, which I was something I was afraid of.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought I was pleasantly surprised. What about you?
Yeah. So like we should say mild spoilers. We're not going to like spoil big story
Oh,
beats, but we'll
yes.
kind of talk about action at the end, and
Right.
because I think that's kind of the important things to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
I was very impressed by this movie. Not to say like this is a great movie. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a great movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a good movie. I would even argue that it is for what it is, it's a very good movie. Like for what it
Mm-hmm.
is trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not a big Harley Quinn fan either. I like her as this like annoying side character. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like Harley Quinn in a leading role at all.
Yeah.
Um, what she's really become in the last 10 years, and especially now with like the hot topic trend of she is like the hot topic character of DC, right? Like, so wasn't a huge fan of that, and especially in Suicide Squad, I thought where everyone loved Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad, I thought she was really bad in it. And it wasn't her fault. Like, it's very clearly how they wrote that character and the direction of that entire movie, because that movie's a steaming pile of dog shit. Yeah, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But Birds of Prey, I think, does a really interesting thing where it takes like what Harley is as a character and constructs the entire story around it.
Yeah.
So instead of just like Harley's the main character, this is like Harley really, she's narrating this whole story about how her and the Joker broke up, and now like the moments after they break up, what she does to like almost get out of like this like crazy predicament she's in.
Yeah.
But I think the way that they tell the story, and we talked briefly about it earlier, but they like broke up the segments and almost like told the story in a jumbled mess in order to like slowly introduce elements of the movie. Because like if you really look at it on paper, this movie has a lot of elements to it. It's got like 5 main characters that are all brand new, basically. An entirely new Gotham that we've never seen really before. And then kind of like how just this hierarchy works. So the way that they do it by like starting with Harley, then introducing like Black Canary, and then introducing the cop, and then introducing and like Huntress, who's, in my opinion, we'll talk about her in a little bit, but I think she steals the show. Mary Elizabeth Winston as Huntress. She does not have a part in this movie, and I actually paused it right when she came in to go to the bathroom, and there was like 45 minutes left of the movie, and I was like, oh, this is when she's getting introduced. And really, like, she doesn't interact with anybody for another like 20 minutes. Like, she's only a main part of that movie for like 30 minutes maybe, and she steals the show. And I think it's a really smart way to introduce people. Credit to, I think her name is Kathy Yan, who's the director of this movie. Like, the pacing of this movie, I think, is really well done. It is short, it's to a clip, and it works perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're very good at Kathy was very good at making it very precise. And I feel like that's what you needed, because I feel like the thing that's happened with a lot of DC movies is their scenes are really jumbled and discombobulated or too long. And I think she corrected all of that. Like, she made the movie very succinct, and it made a lot of sense the way you did it.
Well, and on that point, I think DC's movies in the past have kind of failed where they expect an audience to know too much. Like Batman v Superman's a perfect example of they expect you to just know a bunch of stuff. And that's why it was so jarring when like Batman started killing people, because you're like, that's not what I know. But then they're like, but we expect you to know everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I think this movie does not expect you to really know anything. There's only one thing you need to know in this movie: that Harley Quinn dated the Joker. That is it. They only reference Suicide Squad once, or maybe twice, because she walks past a poster of Captain Boomerang and she goes, I know that guy. And I thought that was funny. But like, they don't expect you to know anything. Like, this is basically a concise story that could lead to something else. So I think that's really well done on their part to kind of not try to compete with Marvel, I think, in this sense. I think it's a very different movie.
No, it's very smart, because they honestly can't compete with Marvel anymore. And I feel like that's like what a lot of DC movies like were trying to do. They're like, oh, we got to catch up to Marvel, because they weren't expecting Marvel to be as good as it was. I feel like this is one of the first movies that's like, we know what we are. We're not trying to be Marvel, and that's why it's good. Like, I think it was refreshing to see them kind of break away from that trend of like, we're trying to be Marvel. It's like, no one can be Marvel. That's why they're Marvel.
That's why they're doing so well, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So I want to talk to you about the characters a little bit, because I think we really have like 5 main characters, 6 main characters. Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie. How did you think that she did as Harley Quinn in this movie?
Oh, she killed it. I thought she was fantastic. Like I said, like, even though I don't really like Harley Quinn as a character, like, that's not to say, like, you can't take away how fabulous Margot Robbie was. Like, she is Harley Quinn, and she does a really good job. And she made me like the character more, honestly. Like, there are little moments where, like, I love the moment where, like, it's not a big spoiler, she gets hit with a tranquilizer gun, and she's like starting to wake up and get movement, and she starts like hitting the guy next to her, but it's this really weird like motion because she's slightly tranquilized still. and it's hilarious, and it's like little things like that where like, oh, I like this character, like she's just kind of this zany person, and I think that's a lot to the
Margot
actress
Robbie.
that Margot Robbie
Yeah.
is. I think she's
So
really talented.
I think like it's interesting because you almost have to kind of compare her in Suicide Squad to this movie. Where like in Suicide Squad, the line, and it was in every trailer and everything, but it's like she breaks like in that window to grab the purse.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why'd you do that?" She's like, "We're bad guys. It's what we do." And it's like this terrible.
Not what it sounded like at all.
That's kind of what it sounds like. It's a pretty good impression. No, but then she's got like some lines in this where like she's not just like this bad, like weird bad guy. She's like literally crazy, and it's this great line where like she's talking to Huntress and she's like, vengeance is rarely like gives us the catharsis that we seek. And then she like looks at everybody because she's super serious. Then she goes, "Are we ready now?" And it's like this like great transition of like she's there but not there at the same time. And like I thought the narration of Harley Quinn worked in a lot of places. And there was actually one where it was very jarring, where she narrates for like I would say the first like 50% of the movie. She is really it's narration heavy, like it's a lot of her talking over, right? Then it like kind of stops. Like once the plot normalizes and it's no longer jumbled, she doesn't really narrate much. And then she like as she's like leaving the final fight to like chase after Black Mask, she like narrates for a minute, and it's after like Black Canary does like her big moment, right?
Yeah.
She like narrates for a moment, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like in my head, I was like, I forgot that she was doing that. That was weird. Like it was like this one line she narrated for the first time in like 40 minutes, and it was like one quip, and it was like that didn't work. Like make it consistent or stop it. Like it was really odd.
Right. I to the point of something that was really odd with Harley Quinn was it had nothing to do with Margot Robbie. It was just the choice of when she gets knocked out, and then she like her like in her head it's basically her doing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, the like very famous Marilyn Monroe song, and it's like literally like 3 seconds, and it's really weird. It like it definitely takes you out of the movie for a second, and you're just like, what is going on? Like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, and I think to me that was like one of the most disappointing parts, because it's like the number one rule in like a movie is you never want your audience to realize what's going on like in like real time, like and question like the movie. So for me that was kind of a big no. I was like, what the hell? And I like immediately stopped.
And the movie's so fast paced that like part, like it's such a small part of that movie, right? But it's so jarring because it's the only time it ever happens.
Yeah.
It's not a reoccurring thing.
No.
And it just pulls you out of it like instantly for like a solid 20 seconds, and you're like, what is going on? Like this is bizarre.
Yeah, definitely.
But overall, I thought she did very well. Like she really crushed Harley Quinn. She made her like almost endearing, which is interesting. And then like at the same time, like the minute you'd find her endearing, she'd do something horrible. And I thought like that balance was really fun too, with play with that character. Like where like you think she's this like great hero, and then like
she's not.
I don't know, she's not. Like she like is gonna betray people or do like crazy things, and like I think like that part actually makes her fun to watch. Like there is like an almost instability, and so it's really fun when like the Birds of Prey join together. So let's talk about the Birds of Prey.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at that.
That's a really good transition. So we had Rosie Perez, who played Renee Montoya, who was the cop. What did you think about Renee Montoya as the hard-boiled 80s detective in this world?
I liked the jokes they made that she was just said 80s cliches. I thought that was funny.
That was very
But I thought her character was kind of lackluster. Not to the actress's fault. I think just like the writing of the character was like, it was just kind of like, okay, like no
like
one
she's
gives
very
her credit.
integral to the plot.
Yeah.
But I think she's very boring compared to the other characters around her.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard, and I think that might be also like it's just hard to write that kind of more bland character compared to like all these like amazing characters. It's hard to kind of give her a backstory, which they try to do, but it just kind of falls flat. It's like, okay.
Like I almost wish they would have leaned more into the 80s cop persona thing.
Yeah.
And like making it almost like, since Harley Quinn's telling this story, like make that stand out about her. Like really make her this hard-boiled 80s detective that like has this horribly tragic backstory and like like she lost her parents, her brother, her sister, her dog, and her husband all in like one car crash, like to the great like make her story crazier. And like that's interesting. The part that stands out for me, like
I was just saying, like, I think they were trying to do that in a way because they have like the guy who was her partner is now like the chief and like stole all of her credit, but then also that her ex is Ali Wong, which I love Ali Wong, and like is the DA assistant, and like kind of making it that like the odds are against her with like her ex and then like her former partner like kind of going against her. I think they tried to do that. They just didn't do it like.
Yeah, I felt like her character's a little tryhard. Yeah. But that being said, I think all of the other Birds of Prey are awesome.
Yes.
So we've got we're gonna save Mary Elizabeth Winstead for the end. But yeah, Black Canary, who was Diana Lance, and that was a Jareen Smollett Bell. I've never seen her in anything before. Have you?
No.
No. So I guess she was in nothing that I've ever done. So okay. She was great as Black Canary, who plays basically
she was really good.
Black Mask's like driver, singer, and then becomes like a member of the Birds of Prey. I thought she was like this really interesting, like almost tough character that there was a lot of strength in her that wasn't like on the outside, which I thought was really cool. Or like, I feel like you get into this trap, especially like in a female driven action movie where like the woman has to be really tough.
Yeah.
And like they did, but they didn't do it like a beat you over the head with it way. And I think that's a theme throughout this whole movie that like makes it really strong.
Yeah.
Like they're not like, look at how tough this chick is. Like it's like, no, these women are really strong, and like that's the point. But it's like we're treating them as equals to men, not like we have to show that they are like super superior in every way, kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
I know, I totally agree, because I think that's like kind of the problems I had with like Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman is even though they both have like pretty amazing like women empowerment moments, I think overall it's boring, and it's not just because they're like the woman power. It's like any superhero is boring if they can just beat everybody up. Like if they are the ultimate. It's like the same thing with Superman, which is why I don't really find Superman all that interesting. It's like because he's invincible, he could like, he can do whatever. And it's like, okay, so then you have these two other women characters who are the same thing, and it's like, okay, like that's cool, that they have like a Superman equivalent, but it's like, like it's not really all that interesting. Yeah,
there are some fun stakes in this movie where like because they're all vulnerable people, like they could all technically die at any moment. So, but I thought Black Canary stole the show, and I think she's got one of the standout moments too of the movie, kind of towards the end. That as like a nerdy DC fanboy, I was like, "It's Black Canary. I know what she does, and she's gonna do it later on. It's gonna be really cool." And sure as shit, she did it. Then you have Ella J. Basco, who played Cassandra Cain, the pickpocket, who is basically she is the MacGuffin of the entire movie.
Yes.
As she has like the diamond they're all searching for in her bowels, which I think is hilarious.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it. She swallows the diamond. But I thought that she was a very good character. I don't know like what you thought of her.
No, I liked it. I like seeing her, like seeing why she's a pickpocketer and seeing like the broken home she's from and that she's an orphan, and you can kind of see if you grow up in that kind of way, like how you would maybe idolize like a Harley Quinn character, because she gets what she wants. She has like her own place, like she's independent, and she does tread that line of bending the rules, which on the surface when they first meet, she doesn't understand how much she ends up bending the rules. But at first it's just like, oh, she bends it like a little bit,
She bends it like Beckham.
Yes. But you could you see that draw that she has with Harley, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I thought their relationship was really cool. And I think it's fun to like the dynamic of this mentor-mentee, there you go, relationship with Harley Quinn, where she's like telling her rules of like how she got to be who she was. And it's got one of my favorite lines where like you forget that Harley Quinn used to be a doctor, and she's like, in order to be me, rule number 1, you need a PhD. And I was like, what a weird line, but it's really funny. I think there's some great one-liners in this movie.
Yeah.
But then I want to talk about the standout of the Birds of Prey, in my opinion. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. Or the crossbow killer.
She killed it.
Oh my God, she's fantastic. She's like this socially awkward assassin, but
Mm-hmm.
the buildup of her character, like they knew that they had gold with this character, and like how
Yeah.
they built her up is so great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought I wanted an hour and a half more of this character of Huntress. Just of this like socially awkward person, and she's got these like great lines of like, I too would like to do this, like to give them a fist
Yeah.
bump, and like it's like a almost like a Drax kind of character, and
Uh-huh.
but like a more subtle Drax. Like Drax can be over the top with it. Like she is very much like this subtle fish out
Yeah.
of water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just the crossbow killer joke was so funny, and that like she wanted to be called the Huntress, and like that was a really cool name, but
Yeah.
they kept getting her name wrong. And like I do like when they have that scene where she's killing all the people and it like flashes. She's like, "Do you know who I am?" And they start calling her the crossbow killer. But
Uh-huh.
it's like these guys like are dying and they've got like bolts in their necks, but then they're able to like speak perfectly because it's like the
I know.
story needs them to. You're the crossbow killer. Like, I
Yeah,
thought that was-
exactly.
um, what did you think of Huntress?
I thought she was awesome. She was really cool. She's funny. Um, I don't think I liked her as much as you did. I found that like I thought the scene with her like practicing her lines was funny, but I also thought it was like a little too cheesy for myself.
Mm, I thought it
I
was
was
great.
like, yeah, and I can see why a lot of people love it, but it's like
Yeah,
that's like something I've seen in movies before. So I'm just like, okay, she does well, like, but
I
the
see what you're
moment,
saying.
yeah, the moment for me I was like, eh. But I
Yeah,
thought she did a really good job, and I loved. I was just about to spoil something. I had to pause myself for a
after
second.
that.
Can't do that. No, never mind.
Yeah.
You don't get to know that part.
I do love the dynamic too between all of these women in that team, and that
Yeah.
final action set piece. Both of them are really fun because of all five of these characters,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and their different fighting styles, and we'll talk about the choreography in a little bit because I think that's one of the standouts of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I want to talk about really the person that steals the whole movie,
Oh,
and
yes.
in this female dominated movie, which I think is so funny. Ewan McGregor as the Black Mask is incredible.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
What a good bad guy. And I've never really seen him play a bad guy.
I know it was really cool to see him take that on, and like
Yeah.
I thought for like his acting, it was really cool to see. I mean, I feel like I've always known Ewan McGregor has like a wide range, but I feel like seeing him like actually be a villain, it's like, oh yeah, like he's a good actor. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just he's kind of this like weird, funny, zany character. Like he's not just a bad guy; he's like really
Mhm.
weird too. But I
Yeah.
love it.
He's
Yeah.
really funny and like zany. And then he's like equally unnerving.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He's got these great moments where like he's this spoiled rich brat. And he's like,
Yeah.
someone takes something from him, he's like, why don't I have it? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, I don't
Yeah.
deserve this. Like his like sidekick's like, no, it's okay. You don't deserve this. You're right. And I
Right.
like, and then he's got like these just sadistic moments, like that scene in the club.
Oh
Um,
god. Yeah.
but like it makes that he's a very like almost three-dimensional character.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
which I thought was really fascinating, especially from like the secondary Batman villain, who's
Yeah.
like kind of the stupid character, the Black Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I think he is one of the standouts of the movie, just like for how interesting he made such a dull character.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. No, he definitely did a
yeah,
good job.
yeah.
Also.
So I want to talk to you about the fights,
Okay.
the fight choreography.
Yes.
What was your overall view of the fight choreography?
I thought the ending fight, like the climax of the movie, was amazing. I thought it was really
Mm,
cool. The set was really dynamic, and I loved how the choreography played off of the set and fit that world very much. But I thought some of the choreography in between was a little convenient,
okay.
and I think it's because I like all I really know is like comparing from a Marvel movie, and a Marvel movie is like this person, it's like nonstop, like this person is the best of the best, so like they can take on all of these things.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Harley Quinn, which I know is part of like the charm, is that she's kind of lucky, right?
Hmm.
But that's what kind of bothers me. It'd be like something would happen and all of a sudden everyone would have to stop and reload their gun all at once, and then she would
Right.
attack, and it's like, okay, well, I know it's not supposed to be a realistic movie. It's like, but
That took
that's
you out of it.
really unrealistic. Like, like there's no way they would all stop and reload their gun at once. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's kind of, and it's like just a brief moment, but for me, it kind of like soured
That
it a
really
little bit.
bothered you.
It really did. It really
Yeah.
did, because it's just, it took it once again. It was one of those things. It took me out of the movie. It's like, there's no way, if you're gonna break into, spoiler, she breaks into like a police station. It's not a big spoiler, but, and so it's, they're supposed to be all these cops, and then they all stop and reload their gun at the same time, and it's like,
No, the people you're thinking that reload their guns at the same time are not cops. They
oh,
are
you're right,
they
they're
are
like the
the
henchmen,
grizzly biker gang.
right?
And that's why, like, I could see them all just wasting their ammo. But I do agree that it's very convenient.
Yeah,
But that
and
part didn't bother me as much because it wasn't like these trained professionals who are like, okay, you shoot, then I shoot, then you shoot. So like we're all covered as we reload. Like they were just this like. But I do agree that it was a little convenient.
Yeah, I feel like even with henchmen though, you would kind of.
But I had the great scene where she gets really high on cocaine and then like becomes really good in the fight, and that was hilarious.
That is pretty awesome. Yeah, no, I do love that. That is good. Which is before that. That is after that moment.
It's right after that moment.
It's right after that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, the fight choreography I think is really interesting and like kind of visceral. And I actually think they took a lot of like notes from John Wick a little bit, where the way they film the fights, there's a lot of long shots on fights. Like they do not cut away a lot. But like I was just watching a Fast and the Furious movie with my roommate the other day, and they cut so many times in a fight, and like it's like boom, 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 and like every hit is a cut. Where John Wick obviously is like, we're just gonna sit the camera there and they're gonna fight, and it's like looks like an actual fight. I thought that this movie did something very similar, where like the fights were very long takes of like the action. Like it didn't cut a ton. So like they're doing more than like 4 moves a take, or not a take, but like a cut. And so I think that's like adds to what I viewed as like actually kind of impressive fight choreography. And like I agree, there are some convenient parts to these fights. Every character having a different fighting style was very interesting and made them like very dynamic.
Yeah.
Like instance, like Black Canary's fight in the alleyway against those 2 guys, I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And she just uses kicks, which I thought was like the coolest thing. Like, and they make a great joke of it at the end of the movie too, with her kicking. But all of her fight style is like these like brutal kicks.
Yeah.
And where Harley Quinn is like having a melee weapon, like a bat or a hammer. She is just kicking the crap out of these people. And then Huntress is a lot of like sliding under people and like moving around them and then striking. The cop was whatever, but I thought like each of them having
like a cop,
yeah, each of them having their own style was like very interesting, and I think that's what makes that last fight in the amusement park so special. Is like they're working around the scenery and all of their fighting styles are like interweaving with each other. I thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah, and the last scene was definitely really, really good.
Yeah,
it was. We can't say too much about it, but it was really cool. Yeah.
And the use of music in every fight, like every single fight has music in the background, and it doesn't come off as like annoying music. It like is like kind of makes the fights more engaging with like this like, and it's all. Did you notice it's all female singers?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
no.
every song with music is like a female singer, and they like
That's
a different,
cool.
but it's a different remix on like
yes, I did notice that.
Song. They kind of hit me with your best shot, like a different.
Yeah, that was a big remake of it. Yeah,
there's a few other ones, all these different remixes, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, they didn't remix Heart. They kept that.
Yeah, that was Barracuda was freaking awesome there.
Yeah. No, they kept that one. They didn't do a remix of that. That was really cool though.
And just a shout out to the kind of the final action set piece of her on the roller skates with the car. I thought the choreography with the car, motorcycle, and the roller skates was awesome.
It was super cool. Yeah.
And that's Margot. Like you can tell Margot Robbie is doing all of that.
100%. Yeah.
Which is so cool. Like
yeah.
There's a moment where like you look at it, it's like her going like 40 miles an hour, holding on to roller skates. And I was like, that's her. Like you can't.
Yeah, that's totally her. Yeah.
Like that's a real thing they're doing.
Yep.
I thought Birds of Prey. I was very impressed by it. I wouldn't be like it's Captain America: Civil War or anything, but it's like
no, it's nothing like that.
It's better than Captain Marvel, and I think it's by far the best DCEU movie.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, by a mile.
Yeah. Well, I liked how I felt like with Captain Marvel, they like really. The thing that bothered me with Captain Marvel was like they had that cat joke, that running cat joke, which made it was stupid, and it made very childlike and like
Yeah.
talked down on. What I appreciate, which versus like the Harley Quinn movie, it's like I never felt like I was being talked down on. Like,
Oh my god, I didn't even realize this movie was rated R until they were just started throwing the F-bombs out, like breaking kneecaps, and I was like, this is an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I was like
Yeah.
shocked when they said the first F word, and I was like, that's their one F word they get, and I was like, oh no, they just keep saying the F word. Oh my god,
Yeah, just keep going.
this is an R-rated movie. And then she jumps on a guy's knees and like breaks him, and I was like, oh, this is an R-rated movie.
This is an R-rated movie, yeah.
Whoa, that blew my mind.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, I was very impressed by it. I really enjoyed it.
No, it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yes, I agree with that. It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie, yeah.
Any final thoughts, Madeline?
No.
I would recommend it when this movie comes out to rent. I think it's a good rental to crack open a few beers with and just watch a fun movie.
Yeah, it's like a fun Friday night movie.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like, really, I'm just going to be hanging out, living my quarantine life.
Invite some friends over, get a big group of people in one room together.
No, that's
and
not
watch,
what we're supposed to be doing.
do it like soon, like a big group of people. Because then you can split the $20, right? Like, so you get like 12 to 15 of your friends, invite some neighbors over, pour like a big bottle of like alcohol and all drink from the same alcohol bottle. Get like some finger foods that everybody's touching, and then like just hang out like next Saturday, like big group people really close together. Yeah. That's how this movie should be seen.
Don't listen to him. Please don't listen to him. Please don't do that.
I'm sorry. Whatever, guys.
Whatever. Please take it seriously. All right. Thank you for tuning in to Cinema-Reelness. This has been Maddie Atlee and Jake Burke, and we'll be coming to your personal screens next Thursday.